are you? Somebody a few minutes ago asked me, who are you? So I stopped, I had some thinking, and then I say, too late. Too late. I'm already somebody else. By the time you ask me the question, things have been changed, your question already changed my mind, and I became somebody else. So too late. So think about that. When people ask you, who are you? They want to know who you were when you died. Because you have to be dead to be. When you're dead, you are. That's it, done. But if you are alive, you're moving all the time. You're changing. You are a different person all the time. Especially if you're a woman. I mean, I'm fascinated by my wife. I love my wife, but she keeps changing all the time. And so you say, this is fantastic, because this is this movement, this continuous movement. So the whole idea that we had with Andres Romer was, what makes people move? How come people can move? What makes them move? And what makes some people cannot move? And then my work is on cultures. I psychoanalyze cultures. I try to understand why Mexicans do things this way, the Americans do things this way, the German, the French. Okay, it's fascinating, by the way. And most of the time, they're not aware of why they're doing this. But there are some cultures where you cannot move up. And some other culture that say, yes, you can move up. It's completely okay to keep changing, to reinventing yourself, to be different all the time. And so that's what we try to capture in this book. We were in Davos together, celebrating my wife's birthday, and we were listening to all these big, famous people in Davos, you know, big, and nothing came out of all these big meetings that will make me think that we're going to change the world, like the world is going to get better, the world is going to move up. No. Most of the time, they were trying to apologize, telling, you know, especially after the, you know, what we call today we call them the banksters, the gangsters, banksters. I mean, all these guys were very shy after all the crisis, financial crisis and everything. But nobody came up with some kind of a new way to look at things, a new paradigm to say, look, this is the way you should look at your culture. And the idea came that the purpose of a culture is to help your biology. I mean, you saw a bunch of things about sex right now, right? But some cultures don't want you to have sex. All right? And some other cultures tell you you have to have sex only during this kind of, all right, okay. Now, if we are here today, it's because some people in the past had sex. I mean, and even if you say don't do it, I mean, the reptilian always win. You know, I've always mentioned the reptilian brain. I mean, that's why there are billions of people on this planet. The program works. You want or you don't want, it works, right? So if we go back to the three brains, we have three brains, the intellectual brain, the limbic brain, and the reptilian brain. My theory is that the reptilian always wins. It doesn't matter what you think, what is logical, what is rational, the reptilian always wins. And then the culture that helps the reptilian to express itself and to succeed, then this culture creates some successes. And we have to keep changing all the time. I want to take two examples. A few days ago, I was in France. And I don't know if you watch a little bit the news, but the big issue in France right now is, what are we going to tax next? What else? You know, can we tax the air people are breathing? Okay. Can we try to tax food when you eat too much? Can you just taxing? In their brain, they didn't realize that more taxes doesn't mean more revenue. More taxes mean less people, because the clever people are just going away, leaving. Each time I'm in France, my friends come and say, hey, do you have a job for us in the US? We want to move. We want to get out of here. And that is move up. When you cannot move in a place, you move to another place. Now, I don't know if you read the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, but a few days ago, they had a full-page ad that say, bring your business, move to New York State. 0 taxes for 10 years. What? Yeah. No taxes for 10 years. You see the different attitude between the French and the American? American can change, can move, can adapt. They make a mistake. They know they made a mistake. They reinvent something else. And they start something else. And so this is very interesting for you to watch around the world. Where are the places where people get a chance to move up? Where are the places where people can really reinvent themselves and start again? And so, of course, that includes the government, that includes you personally. I mean, there is something that is very, very interesting, is what I call the GPS philosophy. The GPS philosophy is if you want to move up, move and move up, first you need to know where you are and to punch where you are. Okay. Then you need to punch where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, forget it, you're never going to get anywhere. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that are very quick, very fast, they run all the time, but they don't know where they're going. So then they never get anywhere, of course, right? So you need to punch where you're going to go, right? And then after that, you start moving. Moving, moving. You have to move. Think about your life today. Think how often you move. If you don't move, you're dead. By the way, I'm sure you know some people that are already dead. We just forgot to tell them. But they're dead. They don't move anymore, right? So first you have to move. When you have a problem, you go to the hospital, the first thing we ask you to do after the operation is get up and go to the bathroom. Move, right? So this notion of movement is absolutely crucial. But now you can move down, you can decline, go to decay, or you can move up. And sex, remember, it's better to move up. Right, so there is some kind of biological structure here that we want to go up. We want more. I mean, I belong to a club in the US called Mar-a-Lago, which is owned by Donald Trump. And you know, when I speak with Donald Trump, he always says something a quote that I really like. He says, people that say less is more, people that say less is more, never had more. So you see, this is very, very powerful. Once you had more, you want more. When do you stop? Never. So in some cultures, like the American culture, you like it or you don't like it. It's not my position here. I'm just analyzing, right? But in America, you always want to move up. We always want to try. We always want to, okay. And so some cultures stimulate that. And the French culture, you know, I was born in France, I don't know, by chance, accident. No. Nobody ever asked me to be French. I just was born there, right? But I chose to become an American. Very big difference. It's a choice. Okay. But when you are in France, my mother will always tell me something very clear. She would say, "Ça ne se fait pas," which means you're not supposed to do that. Why? I was a kid, you know, so you always ask why. Because ça ne se fait pas. All right? But why? Because ça ne se fait pas. That's it. You know, and so you don't have to argue. If you go to France, there are some very specific rules that you're supposed to respect. And if you don't respect them, then you're nobody. You just, you can be American, you can be, but, all right. Now, there are some other cultures where it doesn't matter what you do. You know, I like to dress in different costumes all the time. Well, in America, nobody pays attention. I can go to a business meeting dressed as a cowboy. People say, "Oh, nice hat." That's it. If I do that in France, they say, "What the heck you think you are? No, but this is ridiculous, you know." So the French love to criticize. That's part of the culture, and criticize all the time, right? American, no time, you know. So the GPS, what is interesting if we go back to the GPS, is that when you make a mistake, the GPS doesn't tell you, hey, bastard, you make a mistake. And you don't have to spend time saying, oh, I'm so sorry, and looking for excuses or alibi, or, there is a sign on the road coming here that say, excusas son por débiles. Excusas son por débiles, right? Dead people that mentally ill, right? Why do you need excuses? I'm not interested in excuses, I was training the Ritz-Carlton at a certain time, when the Ritz-Carlton was good. It's not so good anymore, but at the time was really great. And I trained people to always try to find a solution. And so if they make a mistake, they're not supposed to say sorry. Why? If I'm the customer and they made a mistake, I'm not interested in the fact that they are sorry. If the next day they make the same mistake and say they are sorry again, and then the next day they make the same mistake and say they are sorry again, what do I do with all this sorry, right? What I want is these people to tell me what they're going to do for that not to happen again. Whoa. Move up. Don't stay there. Don't be sorry about your condition, about who you are. And so there is something that I would like you to take home tonight. First, of course, I want to read this fantastic book that I wrote with Andres Romeyer. It's a great book, absolutely, no pressure. I read it again today, and I love it. And what I like about it is that I read it already 3 times, besides writing it, and each time I discover some new stuff. Say, my God, I say that. Wow, this is interesting. So, one thing that is important is what I call wisdom of madness. Wisdom of madness. Right? If you're not crazy, if you're not mad, something is wrong with you. The worst the worst thing that can happen to you is to be normal. Normal. By the way, this is the name of the French president. He says he's Mr. Normal. Normal. Wow, God. It's terrible. This is real madness. So you don't want to be normal. Second, you have to be frustrated. I'm sorry about that, but the danger is to be satisfied and successful. Very big dangerous. Succeed, never to succeed. Wow. Which means that you never arrive. You're never dead. You'll be dead when you arrive, but in the way you're always moving, always challenging, always unhappy. You want something else. You want new things. You want to. And when I travel the world, and I go around the world, last week I was in Iran. After that I was in Turkey. Then I was in France. Then I'm in Mexico. Next week I'm going to be in New York. The world needs a lot of work. We need to help these people to move up. I was in Iran, and women told me over there, the train stopped 30 years ago. The train stopped 30 years ago. And for 30 years, we didn't move. Can you imagine the frustration of these women? Now, of course, they have televisions, even if it's forbidden, right? But they have televisions, right? And they can see that the rest of the world is moving, and they are not moving. I remember I was so touched by this young Iranian woman. She told me, she went to Dubai. I don't know if you're familiar with Dubai, but Dubai is just fantastic. And she went to Dubai, and she cried. And I said, why did you cry? And she said, because this should be us. When we see Dubai and we realize what we have done with our culture, civilization, and so on, then I cry, because that should be us. I was in Turkey the other day, and some women in Turkey, they can watch television. They can see the world. And then they see what is possible, and they see where they are. And the distance is so huge that there is an increase in suicide, killing themselves among women. If they cannot move up, they choose to kill themselves. And so we have to face this situation. So with Andres Romer in Davos, we say all these big people, politicians and so on, they keep looking for excuses. They don't have any GPS. They don't know where they want to go. And they have no ideas on how to help people to move up. So let's do something about it. And other people say, you're crazy, this is impossible, you're crazy. And you say, did you say we're crazy? Yes, we are crazy, yeah. And that's what it is important here, is you have to believe in the impossible. And this book is about the impossible. It's about looking at cultures and how can culture change. The technology, and you had a presentation about technology, human beings are very slow to evolve when the technology is going so fast. You cannot keep people in any part of the world without knowing how other people move up in other cultures. And so these cultures now, they have to do something. They have to change, they have to move up. And we believe that the best dimension to move up is to connect with the reptilian, not to fight against the reptilian, but to really reconnect permanently with the reptilian. And I want to give you share with you one of the things I've done. I always wanted to move up. I was born during the war in France. Actually, I was French, but I was occupied by the Germans, so I don't really know if it was France or not. And, I was a little kid and I didn't know much about it. And we were bombed on a regular basis. We received bombs, which were mainly American bombs, by the way. And so I was in a cellar with my mother and my grandmother, and I had to wait till the bomb will stop to go out and play. And then when the bomb started again, my mother said, hey, come back. So, well, I didn't know better. I was fine. I don't remember any hard time. That was fine, because I didn't know better. That was really, for me, that was very nice. But then I went to the movies. And I saw John Wayne and Gary Cooper and all these guys on their horse riding toward the sunset. And I say, one day I'm going to move up and I want to be one of them, right? And it took me many years to fulfill this impossible dream and to move up. And one day I was living in Los Angeles. I was riding my horses toward the sunset. And then I stopped and I realized and I say, what am I doing here? This is my horse. This is the sunset. Wow, I did it. But that was not enough. You always need another goal. So I think that what we try to capture together, Andres Romer and I, is this incredible potential that we have to all move up when we want to move up. Now, I want to tell you this is a very hard work. We spent 6 years working together, very, very hard. Andres is just incredible. He works so hard to get things done. It's really like a meiotic, like a way to give birth to a child, but a very difficult birth. It's not easy at all. And we got help by Veronica French, who was fantastic to help us. And that was very hard work. But then the problem that we have right now is that this is a great book, and we're successful. Oh, very dangerous to be successful. We made a few friends and a lot more enemies. And that's what you have to be prepared. And I think that we, Andres and I, we need to have thick skin. Thick skin, because this is going to be tough. We're going to be criticized. People are going to say this is crazy, this is impossible. Yeah? But these are dangerous ideas. Of course they are. If you want comfort, stay home. If you want to create a better world, get up and move up. Thank you.
Gracias.